Welcome back to the PreVetted Podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Our guest today is Udit Joshi. He's a product manager for enterprise platforms at Google. Hello, Udit. How are you doing today?
Hi, Federico. Doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am doing great. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We have a lot of interesting topics to discuss. Uh, there are a lot of developments for the product owners, product managers that are very interesting to get your insights about, right?
Absolutely. And I heard, you are visiting the Bay Area, right? I could have invited you in the office and we could have had a face-to-face. So we can always do that again.
Yes, we can do that at another time. I'm unfortunately leaving tomorrow, but
Okay.
happy to do that at another time. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I was yesterday. I was at the Figma offices because they had a meetup, Ruby meetup. So I was able to visit their office. Very nice offices. Yeah.
I'm sure you should visit the Google campus once as well. Yeah, there's some nice buildings out here.
Yes, that would be great. Awesome. So let's start by I want to ask about your first role after college.
Yeah, it's been like more than a decade now, but my first role out of college was, in fact, not a traditional job. It was something that I started during college itself. So this
Right.
was like early 2010s and stuff, where back in India, a lot of kids in college were starting things of their own, so like a campus startup. So that was actually my first role, and we did quite a bit. So I co-founded this with my friend. It was called Impressions back then. Yeah, and after college, I did end up like joining a consulting role as well. But all of my creative energy I spent really on the startup itself. So it was in the second or the third year of college that we started this. It was a graphics design startup, and we also got into the space of unconventional advertisements. So specifically, we worked with a notebooks manufacturing company. So the physical notebooks that you have, and we
Right.
provided and we used that space to sort of print advertisements on it. So we were kind of the middleman going and getting advertisers to print their ads on the school notebooks. So these were notebooks sold across like school and college. And you know how like densely populated like India is, right? So this is a local notebooks company, but even a local company which sells within 2 or 3 different cities sells like millions of copies per month. So that was the scale at like which we were operating. And yeah, it actually went pretty well. So we started that in 2013 or so. In a couple of years, we actually got pretty famous and got published in the national newspaper. So like that was pretty cool.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
really the first time I felt the thrill of creating something and then getting noticed from it. And with any startup, it's really the hustle of doing something yourself, right? And then I know you're also an entrepreneur, so you know what I'm like kind of talking about. So doing things from scratch, literally going from door to local businesses, pitching them the idea of about have these notebooks that we're working with the company on. You can like have your advertisements printed on it, so stuff like that. So, anyways, like fast forward many years now, it's actually evolved into a full-fledged UI UX design studio. I'm not involved anymore. I work at Google, as you know. But I think looking back at that experience, creating something from 0 to 1 is something that I really look back on and like learn from it. And it's something that you can't really learn in a classroom, right? So I think that was very valuable.
Yes, you have to be there doing and creating to actually have the experience. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Like we're very different than like just you're working in a job, I feel like, because you're actually building something, creating something on your own. So,
Right. And you mentioned that you're now working at Google. I understand your role is product manager, right? So what do you do now as a product manager at Google?
yeah. I think, yeah. So, I'm a product manager at Google. I've been working here for close to 6 years. And again, I feel like, even back when I was at the startup and like now as a product manager, one thing is common. Like you're sort of a builder, like even as a product manager, essentially you're building new things or like pitching new ideas and stuff like that. At Google, of course, like it's a company that builds a lot of software, a lot of different products that like end customers, like end users use. I'm specifically on a team that builds software that's used for Google's contact centers. So basically for support and sales conversations across all of Google products. So think of ads, YouTube, consumer products like Pixel phones, Google One, Cloud, Maps. So we build support and sales tools for these. So if you've ever like chatted with or emailed or called Google for support with any product. A lot of Google products are great, but like sometimes they don't work well. So you have to contact support for it. So if you ever contacted support, so that's where you've interacted with the systems that my team builds, especially on the agent facing side or the business facing side of things.
Right. So all the internal tools, right? The internal tools
Yes,
at Google.
exactly. So like
Yeah.
these are internal customer support and sales tools.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a different company, but yesterday at Figma on the Ruby meetup, one of the engineers showed how they were building internal tools, right? And they build their own frameworks to basically build the complete UI using Ruby without using JavaScript or HTML, right? And it was the same thing. It was all the internal tools they use within Figma.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, especially at Google scale, I mean, there are so many different teams and like hundreds of thousands of obviously employees as well. Yeah, the internal tool landscape is actually very complex and very diverse. So, like the tools that I'm talking about are like first party built by us itself. So these are like competitors of, I mean, competitors are like tools like, say, a Salesforce or a Zendesk or a ServiceNow out there in the market. But for many of our teams, we actually build a first party tool because like sometimes the requirements are so unique at Google scale that it makes more sense to build your own tool than like work with third party companies. There are, of course, teams that
Right.
use like Salesforce and ServiceNow as well, but for bulk of the use cases, bulk of the teams, it's like first party.
Interesting.
Yeah. And of course, like, I mean, it's becoming easier to build things also, right? So yeah, maybe we can talk a bit more about that, how AI is changing some of that.
Yes. Yes. That's what I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of hype about AI, right? And they're hype on both sides, right? Like people are saying that it's over promising. It's like, oh, this is a great tool, blah blah blah, right? And they rely too much. I've seen people relying too much on AI, right? And then on the other hand, I was on one of the meetups at GitHub, and one of the partners at Y Combinator say basically that I'm paraphrasing here, right? But basically, he was saying that there are so many new opportunities of applications that you could not build before, right? That there's a green field of opportunities now because AI enables or lowers the entry point to build this type of tools, right? So anyway, that's trying to give the context of this, right? What is your take on AI and how is AI changing your role?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, AI, obviously, yeah, there's a lot of buzz around it. And yeah, for PMs, I feel like, yeah, the way I was doing work, like even 2 years ago, has just so drastically changed from how I do it today. So I can't imagine a time now going back to that, like 2 years ago and how I used to do work there. Yeah, I mean, if so one given day, like if Gemini goes away, like if AI goes away, I don't know how I'm going to do my work on it. So maybe like to give a few examples, right? Yeah, I mean, it's honestly come to that, right? Because I mean, so embedded in everything that you do makes you a lot more productive, right? And productive, not in the sense that it actually like frees up time for like more strategic work, right? So it's not like you have more
Right.
time now to do things outside work. I mean, there's still always a lot of stuff to do. Like just what you're expected to do is a lot more now because you can now spend more time on strategy, on visioning, and things like that. So maybe like to give an example, like a few years ago, if I wanted to understand like what competitors like say Salesforce or Zendesk were doing, like it would mean like multiple days of manual research. I'll have to read through like press articles, analyst reports, watch demos, stuff like that. And today, with our internal tools, now Gemini has deep research. And of course, like being at Google, I think one of the big benefits is you have access to all of the best of AI that Google offers. So there's your deep research, there's your Gemini Canvas. You must have heard of your Notebook LM. There are other sort of your niche tools like Flow for like video generation and yeah, there are a bunch of those, and I could talk a bit about that. Like many of which are released outside as well, like on an experimental basis. Yeah, externally, of course, you have to subscribe to like a pro plan, like a Gemini Pro plan. Like here, we have access to all of it by default, and dog food capacity as well. But anyway, I guess yeah,
Right.
going back to my example, any sort of research obviously becomes like very simple. I can do it in a matter of minutes. It doesn't take me days. So I think that's one area. So where you're kind of thinking about or doing research on your products or your on your area. And the second piece of what a PM does is a lot of like producing like documents or slides and things like that, right? So you write a product requirements document, or you like a strategy doc, or a deck that you represent to your executives or stakeholders to get alignment and stuff like that. And like AI helps a lot with that as well. And I think on that second piece, it won't do a perfect job where you can just like just use the output of Gemini and then that's a ready PRD, but it gives you a great starting point which you can iterate on, right? So again, like it helps you generate things more quicker as a result. Yeah, so I think those two places,
Right.
where it's really changing my role a lot. Yeah, and like PMs across, I think it's an expectation to start using these, because only if you're using these tools yourself is when you can actually build these into the products that you're building. So you kind of have to act as a user yourself of AI before you can build it into your product. Of course, the use case and the scenarios that you're building into your product might be very different, but at least you get the gist of how some of this works.
Yes, because you need first to understand what the tool is capable of doing, right? And what are the nuances of using the tool. I think that you don't need to be a software engineer to use AI. You don't need to be a mechanical engineer to drive a car, right? Now, if you know the internals, then you can understand a little bit better how some things work or take a little bit more advantage of some features, right? But if you can understand functionally how it works, right? You don't need to be a super technical to understand that, right? It's very easy to grasp those concepts and then use it, right? So I can see how as a PM you can leverage a lot of that technology, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think in our daily work, yes, it's completely transformed it. Yep, yep.
Do you think that AI is going to replace product managers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the natural next question, right? Like, I mean, all of us are kind of fearing our jobs in some ways, and obviously, personally, I hope not. I hope not. But yeah, you never know how smart like AI can become. But I
Right.
think like even realistically, the way people often put it about like how AI helps people is like it's not necessarily a replacement. It's something that's like more of an augmentation to your current role and stuff like that. And that applies to a PM as well. Yeah, there's definitely parts of the job like of a PM, like basic documentation, like research and data aggregation and data analysis that I was talking about, yeah, which has become a lot
Right.
easier. But most of my time now, like I said, is being spent more on strategy, more on influencing people, because now AI is not going to get consensus among like say 10 engineering leaders and UX designers sitting in a room, right? Like AI is not being able to do that. So like as a PM, that's a very important function, like kind of driving that consensus among different stakeholders, among your executives, pitching ideas, brainstorming, giving suggestions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work, I would hope. I mean, these systems are just getting better and better. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets better at that as well. But although I think it might get better at suggesting things of how do you bring consensus to certain things, it might get better at suggesting the right features to build or brainstorm and stuff like that. But like that the human element would still be required is what I would say.
Yeah. I think that AI is not going to replace PMs, but PMs using AI are going to replace PMs not using AI, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think there you won't need maybe as many PMs or like as a matter like any function of and you'll be able to do a lot more with the same amount of workforce that you have in a way. So yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the AI can help you, as you mentioned it, augment, right? So I think that's a good way to put it. That gives you more possibilities to build stuff and develop the features and functionality better, right? Because now you have more access to, an agent that can support what you're doing, right? But you're still driving it, right? You're still guiding it to the right direction, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's really like, yeah, those mundane sort of tasks which it helps you with, but like some of the more creative, the human element tasks, yeah, you still need to do yourself. You still need to go and attend meetings with stakeholders. So you still
Right.
need to sort of, yeah, present your ideas to a group of people. So yeah, all of that is there to stay.
Right. And have you done vibe coding?
Oh yeah, totally. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, that's in fact, yeah, I mean, I spend most of my times less on like writing documents, like I was saying, because now AI helps with a great starting point and stuff like that. So instead of just writing PRDs or product requirement documents, you can actually wipe code your PRD in a way of what you're recommending so that you can actually show to different stakeholders of what you're recommending instead of having them having to read your strategy doc or your requirements doc.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think that people talk about vibe coding. Oh, it's going to replace developers. And I think the same logic applies. I don't think it's going to replace developers, but it's going to give more people access to build prototypes that they couldn't do before, right? That they needed a developer right next to them just coding. One typo and everything breaks, right? Or whatever, depending on what you're building. But now you can build software without knowing or understanding much how everything works. You can declare what you want or what behavior do you need, and the AI is going to kind of figure out how to build it, right?
Yeah. And and like you said, like it would be a good prototype or a V0 or a good starting point. And of course, that requires a lot of effort to actually integrate it with your actual systems and then productionizing and bring it to life. But yeah, like to your point,
Right.
building that is a lot more easier, right? So at Google, yeah, we have products like which is released externally as well. So things like say Stitch, which helps you build like an actual UI and it builds like the CSS and stuff that can be consumed by Figma directly. So that's one. And then there's your Gemini Canvas as well, which kind of presents the UI of what you want to, of the product or the feature that you're describing. So, yeah.
Yeah. The way that I've been trying to describe vibe coding is vibe coding so the LLMs can intuitively figure out how to put code together to make it work, but they don't understand, but the LLMs don't understand how to design it so it's scalable, so it works, in production, so it's, um, so I think that's where the limitation currently is. Probably it's going to become better in the future, but people are trying to use vibe coding to build from idea prototype to product, right? I think that that's the wrong approach because yeah, it could work, but it's basically a literal software engineer. It's a literal junior engineer, right? So if you give literal requirements, it's going to fulfill them. The application could work like 80% of what you expect, but the underlying design, the architecture, all of that, it doesn't understand it, right? It simply doesn't. So whatever is built is not going to be scalable. It's not going to be easy to modify in the future, right? I think that we are at that point where we still need software engineers that can understand that, right? So they can build that code, right? But for the scenario of prototyping, I think it's great because it gives so many more people the possibility to, hey, I built this, right? And it works and you can click on it, right?
Yeah, no, that's so true, right? And especially like in established products and companies, right? Now, so now there's one category where you can vibe code and build a standalone new app, like a simple thing, like maybe something that you want for your specific use case. Even Google, like, we have have a tool called Jules where you can like build an app yourself itself, right? And you can actually
Right.
productionize that as well. But that's a standalone app that doesn't integrate with a lot of existing products or your ecosystem
Right.
or your system. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for,
maybe
for
as
those
a
type
new,
scenarios, I think that vibe coding is great. Yeah. Um,
yeah, exactly.
and the other part is when you kind of know what you're looking for, but you don't know the specific word or you don't know the specific where it exactly is. So you can ask the AI, hey, I'm looking for whatever it is. It's somewhere here. Please go and look it, and it's going to figure out the oh, I found it, right? So I use a lot the copilot to do those type of things, right? I don't know the
Yeah.
specific instructions, so please help me. Give me a subset of functionality, behavior, or I just need a little bit of JavaScript code, and then I can review it and say, okay, it works. So by we I mean like with other software engineers, we talk about that is an eager, naive junior software engineer. He wants to help. He doesn't know what, but he wants to help. He doesn't know like the underlyings, but he wants to help, right? He's eager to help.
Right. Yeah. And he's probably quite intelligent, but sometimes can be unpredictable. Yeah. You don't know how it may behave.
Right.
That's how AI inherently is, right? Like it's not deterministic. I think the analogy that they sometimes use is like traditional software is like a calculator, like 1 + 1 is always 2, but with AI, you never know what answer it will give. So yeah, you kind of, yeah, like I think what they say, like it's a very intelligent puppy who's very eager to learn, and like if you train it with a lot of good data, it will give you like really good responses, and it's super smart at
Right.
understanding a lot. But yeah, it can go wrong sometimes. So you need to know how to kind of how to deal with it. Like if you're including or building AI into your products.
Right. People talk about prompt engineering, right? But I don't remember who. I will have to look up who. But one person talk about product prompt alchemy, right? Because we really don't know exactly how this thing works, right? And it's so unpredictable, or it's not deterministic. We're kind of trying to figure out how to give better prompts, but it's a best guess scenario, right? There's not a lot of engineering behind it because at the end of the day we don't understand how it works internally, right? I mean, there's a lot of things we understand, but with AI, when you ask to parse a document and put it on a vector database, gives you like 1,500 dimensions that we don't have any idea what they mean, right? The AI knows, right, but we don't, right? So that's what I'm saying. That at the end of the day, we don't know exactly how it works internally, how it thinks internally, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what other ways have you found to use AI that it's interesting that you can share?
Yeah, I guess, one aspect is, I mean, as a PM in my role, how I use AI, and I kind of, talked about that. So, like, I mean, like for productivity, like vibe coding for producing prototypes and stuff like that. And then, of course, like, how do we use AI in the products we build, right? So, like I talked about the
Right.
space that I'm working in. So, it's customer support and sales tools. So essentially, in the business of making teams and business operations more efficient, like more smarter, and really with AI elevating their role from an executor of tasks to like a supervisor of AI agents, right? So I think, like taking the example of like a typical customer service call, right? So imagine you're a small business owner, like calling Google Ads because your ads are not working. So an AI agent can obviously automate a lot of that, can understand your issue, can chart out a plan of how to solve it. And if it's simple enough, it'll go ahead and solve it itself. It might give you like some knowledge recommendations of how you can solve it, or it might actually execute on a few tasks, or it may create tasks for certain at times where you may need a human involved. And at times it could be a scenario where, so what we're really thinking hard about is, so where AI may not kind of like, how does that handover from an AI agent to a human take place, right? So say if it's a really frustrated customer because their ads are not working and like their business is on the line, so they want like a solution right now. So and AI may not be able to understand that level of panic or that frustration as easily. So a huge part of my job is designing the system to recognize the limits of AI, or what is it good at, what is it not good at. So ensuring that at the end of the day, we have to keep our customers happy, right? Like we have to get that customer, like that frustrated customer, to human, like with the right empathy and expertise, like as fast as possible. Yeah. So I think, that's a lot of like where we're spending time thinking about like how to kind of handle those exceptional scenarios, and how should the handover from AI to a human take place in this realm of like
Right.
customer support and sales.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of opportunities for workflow automation, knowledge database. Also having an agent and again, the agent is right now, it's a very fluid term, so it hasn't been like quite defined yet. It's like anything LLM that it's, connected to a within a box, right? Anyway, having context of your data, your application, then that allows you to get information, and then eventually with agents you can also run actions, right? So the LLM can figure out, oh, you need to do this. Do you agree? Yes, no, right? And then move forward.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, as you were talking, I mean, like, how do I use AI in my personal life? Maybe a bit more. Yeah, I could talk about. And
Oh,
I think I
great.
googled
Yeah.
that there's like a new AI sort of tool that they keep launching like almost every week or every day, if the matter. And like we get access to it like even earlier on in a dog food capacity, and a lot of it gets launched in the like the labs, Google Labs, like, and I think there's an external facing labs.google.com as well, where like anyone can
Right.
experiment with some of these tools. So I think recently I've used this tool called Flow, which helps you like generate videos. And a new thing that they released was they can generate a 8-second video based on like an image clip that you can upload. So basically uploaded my dog's photo, like it was just a regular photo, it wasn't a video of him, and it created a very natural video of like the dog running around on the beach. It was a photo of the dog on the beach. And then created a video of that, of him running around and then kind of playing there and stuff. So like I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
So
nice.
that
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. And like with just one single photo, and it actually made a video out of it, which was just like mind blowing.
Right.
And I think another one, I don't know if you heard of, sorry, are you going to say?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a project Mariner, so which is also another thing that kind of blows your mind. Like it was released
Right.
during the Google I/O, the last one that happened, where you can actually ask the AI to do something on your behalf. So, for example, if you want to search for like the top 5 restaurants in San Jose, and it actually goes to it'll open a new tab, a Google Chrome tab, and then it'll search for top restaurants, and you can see all of that happening on your screen. So it'll search for it, and then it'll scroll through the results. It'll open some of those results. If you say that I'm looking for a restaurant which is within whatever, like 5 miles of where I'm living, and like with a restaurant that has this specific kind of cuisine or this specific dish that you get. So you can actually open each of those links and search for that, and then kind of give you the result at the end of it. So it's all running in the background, but you can actually see it running as well. So which I thought was pretty cool. So you can actually see what it's doing on your Google Chrome tab.
Right.
Yeah, so which was also like pretty amazing. You can let it run in your background, so you can come back in 5 minutes and then just see the results, or you can actually see it live in action. Yeah, I thought those are a couple
Yeah.
of
That
things that
that
stood out.
that's very interesting. I mean, because we're getting to a point where we can automate more and more complex tasks.
Yeah, yeah. Like in your personal life, right? Like I mean, of course, like searching for restaurants. I mean, it's simple enough to do, so I may do it. But yeah, if it's some complex with a lot of different criteria that I have, then or even like say, on Instacart, like add like from this list of items that I want to order, add all of these items. Go to Instacart and add all of these for me and order it as well.
Right.
And it can actually is where it may run at a point where it needs some input from you, right? So, for example, it needs you to log in into Instacart because it's not logged in by default. So it'll actually then like kind of give you a notification that it needs needs your attention, and then you can go and then provide those. It'll say that let's give your email ID and password for Instacart. So you can go and enter that, and then it'll enter that for you on the screen, and then go ahead and do everything else.
Nice.
If you haven't tried that out, yeah, you should try it out. It's pretty amazing.
Right. Right. I've seen people talking about shifting from the search box to the LLM box, right? Instead of a Google search, now people want to do, type on a chat, right, and get more personalized answers. Have you experienced that type of shifting in your personal use of search?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I end up using a lot more sort of Gemini instead of traditional search. And even in search now you have the AI mode. So where if I want something like hyper local, of like I'm searching for something like nearby, or like some factual thing, then I still go to Google search. But in Google search, I default to like the AI mode because it at least gives a curated answer to me, right? Instead of me having to go through the results and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I can ask a
Yeah,
follow-up question on AI mode. And
the responses used to be not very good, but recently they've been improving a lot. So I'm using more and more the response of the chat rather than the response of the search.
yeah, and those early days, those things like you can put what like tiny pieces of rocks on pizza, or which is safe to eat, and like all of those examples that got famous, right? Like in the media, that this is what like
Right.
Gemini, GPT is telling me. Yeah, like all those kind of ridiculous things. Yeah, which may still happen. Like even like exceptions today, if you ask a really weird question, it's gonna maybe give you a weird answer. Like, is it okay to eat rocks? And yeah, I think it'll tell you, yeah, sure. I mean, and like it'll give a bunch of reasons.
Right. Right. Yeah. The it's interesting, when they try to put guardrails on the LLMs, but they're easy to work around, right? The LLM is too smart for its own good, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you ask the LLM, how can I build a bomb? Is it like, no, no, I cannot give you that answer because that's dangerous, right? Okay, what should I not do to not build a bomb? And he's like, don't do this, don't do that. So he gives you it gives you the answer without, realizing. And I'm oversimplifying it, right? But there are many tricks like that I find it funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
no, good stuff.
so I wanted to ask you a little bit about what is your workflow on building products. How is the process of creating an AI powered product different than building traditional software?
Yeah, I think we spoke a bit about it, right? So I think like
Right.
the expectation is definitely to build more AI into all the products that we build because I mean the technology is there, like the AI, the LLMs are really smart, so yeah, you might as well leverage it to improve like your business operations. But yeah, so what we've done is, I mean, of course, like we have the standard like Gemini kind of your knowledge retrieval and all of that running, and we have like chatbot and like voice bot kind of agents running on customer support. So if you call into Google support, say for ads, there'll be a voice bot talking to you, trying to understand your issue and stuff like that. But yeah, like where we're spending a lot of time now is, yeah, we just don't want to like just include AI agents for the sake of it. Like we need a way for agents to kind of like seamlessly hand over things to humans when needed. So what is the right way of doing that? So that's one area. And I think another area is sort of like for the human themselves, now for the customer support agent. So for like for an ads agent or a whatever Google Pixel agent. So now they'll be able to do a lot more. There'll be AI agents helping them out in some of their tasks. So they need a way to monitor the AI, right? Their role itself is fundamentally changing from a regular like executor of tasks to someone who is supervising in some ways like a workforce of AI agents. So kind of yeah, how do we offer those views that they can easily monitor the different AI agents running, and if they want to kind of yeah take over some conversation, then they can do that and so on. So like yeah, those are some
Right.
of the things that we're thinking of.
Interesting. Yeah. Um, I mean, I'm changing a little bit of topic or going back to building the product. So one thing that I'm using Microsoft Office 365 for email and corporate, email. And somehow they decided to, instead of showing you the apps, they show you the chat by default, right?
Okay.
So I find that very intrusive because, you're looking to open an email or open a document or whatever, right? But instead of like you could click Word, whatever, or Outlook, get the emails and so on and so forth, right? But now it shows the chat. It gets harder and harder to get to what you're trying to do, right? So they're pushing the chat to the front. Or I'm looking for a document, right? So I'm saying, okay, then if they're doing that, I'll start using the chat, right? And I say to a chat, can you give me this document that I know that I have on my OneDrive storage, whatever, right? The response is generic. Is oh, there are many documents like that on the internet. It's like I don't care. I want my document, right? Search on my files, right? I say that, and it doesn't understand. So the way I see that is the bad feature implementation, right? Because they don't understand what the users are looking for to do, right? And there is no obvious way to actually change that, right? To change that behavior. So they change the flow of the homepage, right? And basically affecting every day the workflow for every day, every user, right?
Mm.
So I find that very intrusive and
Right.
useless because it actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
it's a little
actually, I
bit of
mean,
a rant,
counter kind of, yeah, it's actually making a job harder than ever what it actually tried to make it
right?
simpler and so on, right? So, yeah, I think, yeah, that the user experience aspect is so important, right? So you just don't want to shove AI into like whatever you're building. It's kind of, yeah, you need to do it in a sensible way, in a very kind of, yeah, thought through way for the user. Yeah, so it's a lot of, I think, I mean, at every like sort of yeah, tech company, whenever you're building products, yeah, there's a lot of user research that goes on, and like real user research, and not just yeah using say um, yeah, like deep, like the AI mode or the deep research in Gemini to get user research, actually talking to users about which of these modalities would you prefer? Like, would you prefer
Right.
like a side panel of a chat interface, or would you like it to recommend it at only certain points of your workflows or stuff like that? So I think that becomes a lot more important because it started to offer a lot more capabilities and new experiences. But yeah, we got to be kind of cognizant of yeah, doing it the right way.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're going to see more and more use of AI, but I think that this particular implementation was not the best one, and basically they misunderstanding what the user wants. As you said, is you need to talk to real people to understand what they actually need and want.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Awesome. So, another thing I wanted to ask is about which project are you most proud of and why?
Yeah, no, I like that. No. And that's maybe taking me back like a couple of years in the early days of Google. So at Google, you must have heard like Sundar sometimes say like, I mean, we used to do AI like an ML before like AI was cool. So, like even back in like 2019, 2020, there was actually like real like in a way AI stuff that we used to build. So one of the
Right.
first projects or my first role at Google was as a product manager for Google Ads support tools. So specifically working for the Google Ads domain. So where we had a challenge where so there, of course, there are millions of customers calling phone support specifically, and they're calling for different issues, right? So some of them would have like a billing issue or a policy issue or like something about their performance not being up to par, stuff like that. So there was a large team of agents on the Google Ads support team, which is staffed, and their only job was to understand what the customer's issue is and then transfer the customer to another team, so which is a specialist team who can actually solve your issue. So it was a very simple job. All they had to do was to understand the issue and then like transfer the customer. So my goal was to create a way where we could do it in a more scalable way, and scalable like not just to save costs for the company, right? To even make it better for the customer, like who's actually calling in, like to being able to get them to the right agent, to the right specialist team as quickly as possible. So we built essentially a conversational voice bot back then, so which leverage NLP, so natural language understanding, NLU, so which would understand what the customer is talking about, and like the bot would ask you a couple of follow-up questions as well if it doesn't quite understand like what your issue is. If you're just going to say that I have an ads issue, it's going to ask you like a follow-up question. Yeah, please could you tell me a bit more, or like contextually understand based on what your response is, and then you transfer you to the right team. So if it's billing policy, your YouTube ads or whatever that is. So yeah, I mean that ended up saving like a lot of your millions of dollars for the company, like by doing that specialist routing automatically. But also like it solved a problem for the customers, right? So where customers had to, it would be like at least 10 minutes into the call before they would be routed to the right agent who could actually solve their issue. So now instead of 10 minutes, it's just taking a few seconds to get you to the right agent in a way. So I think, and like that was unique in the sense that it was one of the first times where we were leveraging something like this. It was the first time we are doing this in the industry as well. It wasn't as common in the industry. You traditionally had like simple IVRs like press 1 for this or press 2 for this, and like you could have like a long list of press 10 for this, press 100 for this. Like, it could just go on and
Right.
on. Since like we actually had a conversational voice bot. It's one of the first ones in the industry out there. So yeah, it was super interesting. Internally, there was a lot of cross-functional alignment that we had to get, like with our legal teams, policy teams, with our UX conversational designers about what are some of the right things to tell to the customer. How should the voice bot sound very conversational, natural sounding? We don't want to make it sound very robotic. At the same time, we don't want to create the perception that this is an actual human. The caller should know that it's actually it's a bot talking to them and not a human. So
Right.
like stuff there as well. So yeah, I think that's one of the projects that I'm most proud of.
That is very interesting. Yeah, because that with the volume of calls, you can save the company money, but also improve the user experience. Because every time you call for support, if that process gets drag and drag and drag, then that's usually the contact between humans and Google, right? Because usually it's all the software, right? So that experience is critical to keep the customers happy, right? And when they're calling, is because they're having an issue and they're in pain and they need assistance as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah, precisely.
Interesting. Uh, what is your one principle you never compromise on when building products?
Yeah, I think, I guess, we talked a bit about this, and there's always like, I mean, general advice as a PM, of course, you say that you should always think about the user and so on, but I think, I'll talk about something that's maybe unique about me. So I talked about like how my background spans traditionally, like I had an engineering degree, and then I started the campus startup, so which was that scrappy user first kind of mindset there as well. And then So my consulting work, understanding high level business needs. So like I think all of that culminates to my PM role here. So where you sit at the intersection of all of these worlds and act as a translator. So I think so coming back to your question, like so one principle that I don't compromise on is like it's very important to translate the customer's pain point into what they really need, right? So even in the AI world, like you have to translate a complex AI feature into clear business benefits that you can bring to the organization that you're building for. You have to translate a high-level corporate strategy into an inspiring vision for the team. It's essentially like the best PMs are the best translators in a way. So I think not forgetting that. So where irrespective of you'll have all of these tools at your disposal, there's still some level of translation that you have to do, some level of kind of understanding, and then kind of producing the right recommendations out of it, if that makes sense. So I mean, you
Right.
just don't use the outputs of an AI just as is. You have to still make sense of that and like still apply your thinking to it and your translation to it to come up with the right recommendation.
Awesome. So, one last question that I have for you is, what advice would you give someone who wants to move into product at big tech or product at any company?
Yeah. I think, yeah, like with product and like we've kind of talked about this. This kind of been a theme of our chat. It has been to like just build things, right? Like now more than ever, it's easier. Like it's very easy to build stuff. So you can just go to like Jules and like build an app of your own, or like use Gemini Canvas to build a prototype of something, or stuff like that. So it's the best time to start building something. Like as a fresher out of college, if I were to graduate today, I think it was probably a better idea to continue on my startup journey than like trying to like work towards getting a job, because like of all the tools that's available there, right? Like so you can actually easily build something, and that's especially important for getting into product and like and big tech, and it's going to become like more and more important. So because those are the kind of skills that will be required. So kind
Right.
of thinking about what to build, actually going ahead and building that stuff, going from 0 to 1, having that mindset. Um, yeah. So instead of actually like learning some of those hard skills for an entry level job, which might become like obsolete soon, it's some of
Right.
those kind of soft skills or like that mindset of building more, building something new is what I would recommend.
Basically, keep moving forward, building stuff and learning from that experience.
Yeah. Even if you have
Interesting.
an idea of there's something simple in your like daily life which you have a pain point, then to just build an app for it maybe. Yeah, if it helps you. Like if there's a reminder for I don't know, like making sure that you have to like give your pet dog this medicine once a month, and sort of like you need to maybe go to a website and order it every month, so you can actually build a tool for that or something like that. So build it for like daily experience, and build it for something more than that as well. Publish it out there. Yeah.
Right.
And you can see where it goes. So at least you start building that mindset. Like it may not turn out to be successful because I mean no one except you might actually use it, but that's okay. You still build something. I think that's what matters.
Interesting. Great. Great. So, we're running out of time, but I appreciate Udit having you here, sharing your experience. Any closing thoughts that you want to share?
No, this is great, Federico. Thanks for inviting me. Had a great conversation. And I'm sure if I come back to this like in like 6 months from now, like things would have changed so much. So whatever we talked about today would seem like a distant past, because like the rate at which like things are changing with AI, I feel like is so fast that it's really exciting. It's a really exciting time to be in tech and just be out there.
Yes, yes, I agree. I mean, the amount of new things that are new tools that are coming up with AI powered tools, it's amazing, and I think that this is going to keep increasing, and the quality of the tools are going to be better and better.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Yeah. So
Great.
thank you very much, Udit, for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a nice day.